Hello everyone, we are going to talk about the lymphatic organs and tissue, part 1 of the lymphatic system in lecture 3. When plasma leaves capillaries at arterial end, most of those fluid, 90% of them, returns back to blood at venous end. But the remaining 5% of tissue fluid pass through lymphatic system before they come back to blood. Let's see. It consists of 3 parts though. Network of lymphatic vessel, and lymph, which is the fluid in vessel, and lymph node, which cleans the lymph, and lymphoid organs and tissues provide the structural basis of immune system and contains phagocytic cells and lymphocytes. These structures include spleen, thymus, tonsils, and other lymphoid tissue. Lymphatic vessels return interstitial fluid and leaked plasma proteins back to blood about 3 liters per day. Once this interstitial fluid enters lymphatics, they are called lymph fluid. Lymphatic vessels are one-way system, and lymph fluid flows toward heart, and lymph vessels include lymphatic capillaries and collecting lymphatic vessels and lymphatic trunk and ducts. Lymphatic collecting vessels are similar to vein, and lymphatic vessels are very similar to vein, and except that they have a thinner walls with a more internal valves. As you see this, the lymphatic capillaries are very interesting because they are very permeable. They take up proteins and cell debris and pathogens and cancer cells. That's why cancer, once sort of metastasized into lymphatic system, it can go everywhere. These endothelial cells overlap loosely to form one-way mini-valves, and they are anchored by collagen filaments, preventing collapses of capillaries, and they are increased extracellular fluid volume in these lymphatic capillaries because of this opened mini-valves, and therefore pathogens travel through body via lymphatics. Lymphatic trunks are formed by a combination of large collecting ducts. Paired structures are lumbar, bronchiomediastinal, subclavian, and jugular trunks, and single structure is the intestinal trunk. Lymph fluid are delivered into either right lymphatic duct, which drains upper right arm and right side of head and thorax. Thoracic duct drains rest of the body, and each empties lymph fluid into venous circulation at junction of internal jugular and subclavian veins on its own side of body. Lymph fluid is transported by propelled action of milking action of skeletal muscle, pressure changes in thorax during breathing, and valves to valve backflow, and pulsations of nearby arteries, and contractions of smooth muscles in walls of lymphatics. Lymphocytes are main soldiers of immune system. They arise in red bone marrow and mature into either T lymphocytes or B lymphocytes. T and B cells protect against antigens and anything body perceived as a foreign, such as bacteria and toxins. T cells manage immune response and attack and destroy infected cells. B cells produce plasma cells which secretes antibodies, and antibodies mark antigen for destruction by phagocytosis. Other lymphoid cells are macrophages to activate the T cells, and dendritic cells, which also kills the many cells. Lymphoid tissues uh, houses and provide proliferation sites for lymphocytes and macrophages, and they contain largely reticular connective tissue, type of loose connective tissue. Lymphoid nodules are packed with lymphoid cells and reticular fibers and contain germinal centers of proliferating B cells and part of large lymphoid organs. Lymph nodes are major organs of body in connective tissue and alongside of lymphatic vessels, and there exists near body surface in inguinal, axillary, and cervical areas of the body. Functions of lymph node are filtering the lymph so that macrophages can destroy microorganisms and any kind of foreign particles. And also this is where immune system is activated, so lymphocyte can actually attack antigen. They show the structure of lymph node shows the external fibrous capsule contains trabeculae, and also two historically distinct area are called cortex and medulla, and cortex contains the follicles with the germinal centers with the heavy with the B cells and dendritic cells, and they also contains the T cells, and also medulla is in a more middle parts containing B cells and T cells and plasma cells, and lymphosinuses contains macrophages. As you see, circulation in lymph node involves lymph get into afferent lymphatic vessel, and as you see, the number of afferent lymphatic vessels a lot more than efferent vessel. So once lymph fluid into this nodule, there's some delay of the flow before it exits out. That provide the lymphocytes to have a time, and also macrophages as well, to kill all the pathogens while lymph fluid is inside of the lymph node. Lymphoid tissue in mucous membranes throughout the body are called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue, namely MALT. It protects, their function is the protection of any pathogens try to enter the body, and there are largest collections of MALT located in tonsils, Peyer's patch, and also mucosa of respiratory and genitourinary organs and rest of digestive tract. These aggregates of lymphoid follicles basically very abundant in distal portion of small intestine, and similar structures are also found in the appendix as well. They destroy bacteria, and then they prevent these bacteria to coming into intestinal wall, and also they generate the memories of the lymphocyte. Spleen is a largest lymphoid organ and is served by splenic artery and the vein which enter and exit at the ileum. Functions are site of lymphocyte proliferation and immune surveillance and response. Also, it cleans old red blood cells and platelets, and here macrophages remove cell debris. And additional functions of spleen are stores breakdown product of red blood cells, especially iron for later reuse, and stores blood platelet and monocytes, and also may be a place of fetal red blood cell function. Normally, after birth, this function is gone, and it is encased by fibrous capsule and has trabeculae and contains lymphocyte, macrophages, and huge number of red blood cells. Structure of spleen shows two distinct areas. White purples around the central arteries is mostly lymphocytes on reticular fibers, and they are involved in immune functions. Red purples in venous sinuses and splenic cords is rich in red blood cells and macrophages for disposal of old red blood cells and blood-borne pathogens, and they are composed of splenic cords and sinusoid. Thymus has important functions early in life and is found in inferior leg, under the neck, and extend into mediastinum, partially overlies the heart. It increases in size and most active during childhood, and it stops growing during adolescence, and gradually atrophy occurs. That means getting smaller. It still, however, slowly produces immunocompetent cells throughout your life. Tonsils are simplest lymphoid organs and forming of lymphatic tissue around the pharynx, and there are four types. Palatine tonsils are at posterior end of oral cavity. Lingual tonsil is grouped at base of tongue. Pharyngeal tonsil is in posterior wall of nasopharynx. Tubal tonsils are surrounding opening of auditory tubes into pharynx and gather and remove pathogens in food and air. Tonsils contain follicles with the germinal centers and are not fully encapsulated, yet they have epithelium is sort of invaginated, forming a tonsillar crypt, like a little trap. And this is where bacteria or particles can slide into, and so immune cells can destroy them. Peyer's patches are aggregates of lymphoid follicles. There are clusters of lymphoid follicles in wall of distal portion of small intestine, and similar structures are also found in the appendix. Peyer's patches and appendix destroy bacteria by preventing them from getting into the intestinal wall, and here they make the memory lymphocytes.